What's up and welcome back to a brand new video. What I have just been in there and done is acquired the keys to our brand new apartment. So in here we've got 3 sets of keys to our brand new apartment, which we're going to explore in a little bit. But first of all, we're actually going to go and submit a visa application to the Chinese authorities. So a little bit of a random video and a very random intro, but let's get into it. Okay, it's a little bit plain and it's one day later from whatever clip you just saw. My girlfriend and I are moving in here, so we've been, coordinating a little bit. She's a lot more into the interior design type of stuff than I am, but it is what it is. I'll give you a quick tour. So over here is where you come into the apartment. You have a nice entrance over there. So you step in here, you take a look down the corridor, and you're like, oh, we're doing good. And over here, we've actually invested in one of these boys. This is a robot vacuum, so this will be doing all the dirty work around the house when I'm not there to scrub the floor. In here, we have the bedroom, and it's a little bit dark right now because obviously there's no light as we just moved in. It's got these nice sliding doors. And over here, we have some more storage, some closet space, etc. And where you will be seeing a lot of me is this place. If you're a real OG, you know that I used to have a home office back where I lived before. It was a closet, but we made it into a home office. And the real OGs of this channel will also recognize this one. An office is a place where dreams come true, and that is essentially it. So we're gonna be putting this one on the wall here, and a lot of cool stuff is going to be built in this very room, so very excited for that. We have, they included some random shelves. We've got a very nice bathroom, very nice, very spacious. It's got this modern stone, a lot of space here. Nice one of these that's our own again. We've been sharing in this house that I've been living for a while, so very excited about that. And then we come, waiting for the gimbal to follow. Then we come into the main living area. So obviously kitchen, we could do surgery on a small hamster here if you wanted to, a little heart transplant of some kind, no worries whatsoever. And we come out here to what will be kind of the living room. So over here we're gonna have this couch that we've just bought new covers for. Over here we're gonna have a little bit of a TV corner for whenever that's gonna happen. And then over here we're gonna put a big nice wooden round dining table that's gonna fit up to 8 people, so that will be very, very nice. And now this will be for a future video because it's very dark out here, then you can just barely make it out. But we have a big spacious patio. And then the nice thing about this apartment is that our view is actually not forest, but less urban than if you're looking straight into the neighbor's apartment. So very nice and relatively private. So yeah, that's a quick tour. We're obviously in the middle of moving stuff. We've got some stuff over here, but far from done. We're gonna be doing a little bit more of that this weekend. But now we're gonna head home, and then we have a productive day in our Brisbane going tomorrow. I'm gonna show you on a fun kind of new project we're working on. Switch to tomorrow. Spring is really hitting. We're starting to see better weather, warmer weather, which is very nice. Sweden's been very cold during the winter months, as you probably know, as you probably heard. March means one thing. 1, it's spring, but 2, it's also tax season. And tax season, for everyone, it seems to be a good season, but for me, it's not as nice. So, like in most other countries in Sweden, you continuously pay income tax throughout the year. And this is your employer, which is then, in my case, is me. And you're meant to pay that every month as a kind of if you're in this tax bracket, you're estimating to be in this tax bracket, and that's what you're gonna pay throughout the year. And for some reason, all of my friends and everyone around me during this time of the year, they always get money back. It's like someone gets 800 euros, or someone else gets 1,200 euros, but I always have to pay more. And now I thought 2024 was one of the years where I wasn't gonna have to pay more for, because I haven't really sold any stocks or anything. I've hodled, or as people say on the internet, or I've held on to it, as normal people say. And I haven't sold an apartment or done anything like that. But still, I'm forced to pay 1,000 euros extra. And
like looking at your income tax statement in Europe, even if you don't make a lot of money, like I don't make a lot of money, I don't take out a lot of salary. But even if you don't, they take a large chunk. Like I pay almost 34% income tax, and I'm in, given the salary I take out, the lowest tax bracket. So that's a relatively high percentage. And then you got to consider that on all of this you're paying VAT. So I tax money, I pay, go buy something, and then I pay VAT with that money. And in my case, this is money that I've already brought in, I've already taxed on, and I'm already and then I'm paying it out to myself, right? Like, so I buy in a product in my business, I then do that in order to generate the profit, right? And if I generate the profit, I'm forced to pay profit tax on that. And in addition to that, I'm also paying VAT on all the products I sell, and then whatever I have left, I pay out in salary. And what I take in salary, I then pay those taxes on. I also, as an employer, pay an employer tax of around 30%. So for me to pay myself something like 4,000 euros, it probably costs a business, you know, 6,000-7,000 euros, and then on top of that I have to pay tax on everything that I get out. And in Europe you're starting to see this a lot, that taxes just have to go up because you're not really seeing societal development keep up with all of the costs of it. So you have a lot of different costs associated with being a citizen of a European country that to some degree you get back because you have good infrastructure, you have decent school, you have decent healthcare, but you're never seeing that it's improving. Like all of the articles, and maybe to some degree it's fear mongering online, and you know, people just publishing biased stuff, but even in the rankings, like you never see anything improving. Sweden isn't improving in regards to education. It's not improving in regards to healthcare. It's not improving in hit a massive pothole as I said that. It's not improving in regards to infrastructure. But costs keep rising, so they have to keep raising income tax. So it's getting to this point where it's like, okay, how much are you really getting for everything that you're paying in tax here? Both as someone who's running businesses, but also as someone who's just getting pure income. Like, are you getting value for all of the tax that you're paying? And I think if you're running businesses, I don't think you are. If you're an ordinary citizen, I still think we're at the point where you're getting the value from the tax money that you're paying. But if you're running a business, I don't think you're getting and seeing the value that you're contributing to society. Like, you're employing people, you're paying employee tax for them, you're paying employee tax for yourself, you're paying profit tax on all the money you make, you're paying VAT on all the products you sell. It becomes a lot. So I'm thinking that over the next, probably year or so, as I pivot to more online businesses, as I start to focus more on MRR, I'll probably be focusing a little bit more on digital products, which means that I can be anywhere in the world, really. And I'm not really sure where I want to live. Maybe Sweden, maybe not. I've just bought an apartment here, as you've seen in this vlog. But I'm definitely looking to set up an entity and a company in Dubai, probably. I've already spoken to some people there, and there's not a lot of business tax and there's no income tax, so it would save me a lot of money. Like, you don't have to make a lot of money for it to save you the setup cost, the having to travel to Dubai once a year, etc. So I am looking into doing that, and hopefully I'll get to doing that at some point during the next 12 to 18 months. It should help me quite a lot. But yeah, those are my feelings in regards to tax in general. I'm someone I think it's good to pay tax. Obviously, as a society, you need tax in order to fund all of the initiatives and the government stuff that's going on. But you kind of have this dilemma where, as the state grows, as you expand the state and the obligations that the state has, there's no way for it to shrink. The state will never shrink. Once it starts taking, it will continue to take. So yeah, I'm a little bit hesitant in regards to where I stand with that. But for tax optimization purposes, I'm looking to move a little bit to Dubai now over the next year or so. So now we're gonna go home, and we're actually gonna meet up with a friend. This guy, check his company out, by the way. It's super cool. Harriet Allure, it's called. It's a scented candle company. I have one of those candles, and I always put it on whenever I'm working. It gets me in that productive grind vibe. It's super nice. It's a perfect gift. So definitely check that out if you're looking to get a gift for someone. I'll link it on the screen here somewhere. Harriet Allure, it's called. So we're gonna go have dinner with him, chat some business, chat some logistics. I think he wanted some advice on how to ship stuff all over the EU. And then this weekend we're gonna do some moving and some more coding. So let's get to it.
All his brothers in the struggle, they truly resent me.
Alright, so it's a couple of hours later. As you saw, we've been moving all day, so stuff moving. But I'm gonna show you now quickly what I've ordered for this little office space that I showed you earlier in the vlog. So first of all, I've gotten this adjustable desk. These Amazon things are incredibly cheap. I wonder if we'll be able to tell by the quality. But it's a 120 centimeter desk with this little raise that you can put 3 screens on, allegedly based on the pictures. And we'll find out. So that was quite a nice one. It's also time to upgrade my office chair. I've been using this black one I'm sitting on right now for years. So I got one of these ergonomic chairs, got quite good reviews, and was quite well priced as well. So I got one of those, and then I got some accessories, so like a new little LED light to improve the long form video, so expect more of those. Some acoustic panels that I'm going to be putting on the walls in order to improve the sound of these types of videos, and then some other accessories like a little cable and a charging station for your phone. So those are some of the things that I've gotten so far, and we're going to be putting those up in probably the next vlog. So exciting with all this moving stuff. But now, why you're seeing this on my screen is because a long time ago, if you go back to the beginning of my channel and the first couple of videos that I made, it was about an app called Wonder Sagas. Wonder Sagas was one of these projects I had that was my first startup. If you go back and you look at my Starting a Startup series, which is the second video on this channel, is where it begins, that was about this app. And it took me a long time to build this app. I invested quite a bit of money in this app because I have a lot of stories in the app. So what it is, it's a children's story app. You know, these stories that your parents would read you before you went to bed as a kid? Maybe these, 5-minute stories, not books, but rather stories, tales, fairy tales of some kind. It's a platform with a bunch of these audio stories. And some of them are older ones, like the Snow White, for example, that are public works. A public work is when something's been in the public domain for more than 100 years, so copyright is not applicable anymore. So some of them are those types of stories, and a bunch are actually ones that I've paid other people to write and had voice actors actually do. So they're proper nice stories. And this was a big project that I had. This is the website that you can see. But it was my first app, so it was quite lackluster. You can see here that the UI wasn't super nice. It didn't work if you left this screen, for example. There were just a lot of bugs. So what I've been working now on is building this. So here we have, I've spent a couple of hours just rebuilding this using Cursor and ChatGPT, or Claude AI actually, in order to do some of this stuff really fast. And then obviously my knowledge of coding and Flutter has increased a lot since when I started this almost 5 years ago. So if we click one of these now, for example, we're able to...
The Emperor's New Clothes. Many years ago,
as you can see, so
there was an emperor
playing.
who was so
We can go back. Now we have the little debug message there. But so that's working a lot better. We can add to favorites. It's super quick because everything's now stored locally. Before I used Firebase for an app like this. I'm not really sure why. So we can search here, for example. So very, very nice search function, and then some settings stuff. So we're going to be implementing a paywall. But I've actually simplified the code here quite a bit. So if we now head over here and we look at my library. So first of all, we have data models. The audio background service is also relatively simple. This uses the just audio background package in order to, so that is when you're playing here, for example, you can see, there's no point in me pointing because you can see the screen. The Emperor's New Clothes, Hans Christiansen, for example. So whenever that's playing,
spent all his money in dress.
That's what's allowing you to pause it from there and see the details. What's allowing you to use it on Apple CarPlay, for example, which is pretty cool. So we have this functionality. So all you do is you use this just audio background package, and you get the duration, you load that. That's something which you need to send. And then you see if we have it. Toggle play and pause, obviously simple functions that's just built into this package. Yeah, here, this is where you set it. So you parse the audio path, which is the path of this particular story inside of my assets folder in this code. You take the album, and obviously we're not really going to have work with albums, so I'm just passing Wonder Sagas as the album in everything. And then you take the title and the artist and then the art. So the cover path is then the art that you're seeing here. It doesn't work as well on the simulator as it does on real phone, but you get how it works here. So this is just a file with these types of functions. And then we have the audio player service, which is again a very, very similar file that's used for playing audio. But the difference between the audio player service is that's used on the device. So when you have the app open and you're listening and playing on the actual device, and the background is when you play.
He did not trouble himself in the least about his soldiers.
And you
Nor
close.
did he
So
care to go either to the theatre or the chase.
that is what you hear
Except-
in the background. So that's pretty cool. That's working really well. Then we have one that is data models. So this is then a list of all of my stories. I have to pass all of these stories in such a way that I'm doing here. And this is what's then displayed in the homepage. So story provider is then fetching all of the stories here. So we can say, for example, there we have this one, this function load stories, which gets all of the stories from this list that I just showed you. So that's what we're calling from the provider. And then all of this is what they can use in the UI. So for example, we have the all story screen. We can see here that we see if we find that particular. So this is all story screen. So there we use it. So we just use that simple provider to fetch all of the stories and display them in a nice simple UI. That is this here. So it's a very simple app. We have a list of the predetermined stories that are stored in the assets. We're passing this to a provider, which is essentially a state management tool that you can use to access this wherever you are in the app. It's kept in the background, so to speak, of the mobile application so that you can fetch and use this data whenever you want. And then we're just building UI with it. So we have the search screen with some search functionality. So actually there's a search provider that then is also a function from the story provider that matches. First, it checks if there's a story with the same name as what's being searched, and then it checks if there's an author, and then it compares both of those lists and adds both of those together. And then home screen is just this simple layout. So we have a bottom navigation bar. That is this one, and that is where we see stories, favorites, search, settings, for example. So I can change that to S just now, just to demonstrate. And that's where we set all of those details. And we have all of these screens passed here. So we have the all stories, favorites, search, settings. And whenever we click one of these, so we change the index to another. So for example, now on stories, that is index 0. We click favorites, not click the story. We click favorites, which is index 1. And when we're switching to index 1, that's when we're going there to favorites, because we're updating. So there, if you click on the index, you update the current index to be equal to the index of the one you press. And that also determines what is actually shown inside of the main scaffold that we have here. So you can see you're taking the title from the main index, and it's then filled with a list here of these stories, whether that's the search screen or whether that's the main screen or then the settings screen. Story grid, for example, is if we go here, we can see this is the UI. So it will say either now playing, that we're seeing here, and then we'll also show the progress, or we're saying tap to play. And then there's some other functionality in regards to being able to favorite it. So now I realize I'm talking quite a lot, but I'm in this on this mission to explain a little bit more in everything that I'm doing and everything that I'm working on. Because a lot of these people who post these videos on YouTube, POV, running X number of businesses in Bali, Australia, it's just people, they're just showing what they do and what they have, and they don't really, showing the actual work that they're doing. There are some people who are very good at that. I think Daniel Dalen is one of those people who, for the most part, or more before actually than recently, but for the most part shows a lot of the process. And I want to be one of those people who actually shows the stuff that's going on. So that if you're watching this, you can actually take some of the value and maybe, think, oh, he's doing it that way, I should do it in a completely different way, or see how I'm doing it and take some inspiration in regards to how you're doing it. So I'm in the process of rebuilding Wonder Sagas here to make it a little bit more of a scalable application, and I'm also going to be monetizing it in a little better. Did you hear that? Voice crack. Jesus. 26. Why is my voice cracking? I gotta hop up that TRT. No, but so we're doing a rebuild of that, and I've also come to realize that it's very difficult to get someone to, or it's very difficult to build an app. It's quite difficult. It's not as difficult anymore as it was before, but it's relatively difficult. It's not easy to build an app, but it's much, much, much more difficult to get people to download it, and even more difficult than that to get people to pay for it. So now my latest strategy is to try to partner with some people. And when I say partner with someone, what I mean then is I give them straight up I want to share 50-40% of the revenue for this app with you. If you go on and say that this is your app and you've been working on this, and you cannot take some personal ownership. We can also discuss equity, but right now it's a 50-50 revenue split. This is much better than an ambassador would typically get. So typically they get paid per campaign, or they get a revenue share of each user that they bring in. I'm offering them to be like the face of the brand and get revenue share on all users regardless of where they come from. So for example, then I've emailed some management agencies that I know have these parent influencers. So there's this Canadian couple, for example. I think I found the guy's email address here. And this is the type of email that I'm sending. Hi, I hope you're doing well. I'm reaching out about Wonder Sagas, an app with 100+ children's audio stories for fun, educational listening. I've been following your work to see how much you care about parents and kids, and so I'd love to team up. Here's my offer. A 50-50 split on all revenue, not just affiliate based. We'd sign a contract, and every month I'll pay you half of what we earn after Apple fees. If you're interested, I'm also open to discussing equity. I created Wonder Sagas years ago. It was my first app business. I documented it all on my YouTube channel and then a link to it so they can see that, I'm not trying to scam them or anything. This is actually a legit proposal. And though the current version on the App Store is a bit outdated, I've significantly improved and simplified it, which is what I'm showing you here. I'm holding off on launching the new version because I realize I need a partner who already has a platform and can help share our pricing, shape our pricing and strategy. Your feedback would be invaluable, and I think Wonder Sagas could be a huge win for your audience, giving them a screen-free way to captivate and educate your kids. Let me know if you'd like to hear more or hop on a quick call. I appreciate you taking the time to consider this and look forward to the possibility of working together. Would love to chat more or hop on a quick meeting. Best, Herman. So that is what I've sent to a couple of people and their management agencies, larger influencers. Because if I reach someone here who has a relatively large audience, say 1 million or 2, for example, and they can just get a small percentage of these people on, that could quite easily be for them and for me then, a couple of tens of thousands of dollars every month in just, passive revenue, even if you're charging a relatively low price for the app. And obviously it could be a lot less than that too, but it's a simple and nice way to make some money on this old project. So if you're watching this and you know someone who you know will be appropriate and you happen to have someone in your network, then for sure, please let me know. So that's a little bit of an update and a little bit of a deep dive on everything that I'm working on currently this weekend. Next weekend, we're going to be back to some moving stuff, but we're also going to be back to working a little bit of Arborisk, a little bit of Venture Pals, and another secret project X that I'm not really sharing yet. We'll take that another time. But yeah, if you're relevant, or if Wonder Sagas is relevant, check it out and give me some feedback. Also, hook me up if you have any contacts with anyone who will be relevant in the space. And that is going to be it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I know it was quite a random one. A lot of code talk. I'm always struggling in regards to how deep to dive into this code. I typically just tend to show you an overview of the files. But if you want a deep code walkthrough, then we could definitely do that. Let me know down below in the comments. Or if you want to hear more about, the monetization of apps and getting people to download it, etc. Or if you want to hear more about the retail side of stuff, then definitely let me know about that as well. And then, yeah, I don't know if I left the tax rant in there in the middle, but if I did, also let me know what you think about that. Always a little bit of a controversial take. But that is going to be it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it, and I will see you in the next one.